Hi guys, Fred Wellman with the MeidasTouch Network, host of On Democracy with FP Wellman, and an Army combat veteran. As you know, things have unfolded rapidly in Israel with many dead, much uncertainty. But here's something we do know as of this morning. Just this morning, we found out that 9 Americans did die, and many are being held hostage by Hamas in the Gaza Strip and in Israel right now. We also found out that elements of the Fifth Fleet of the United States Navy, sailors and Marines, are steaming to the area to ensure that other countries don't get any bright ideas or actors don't get any bright ideas to attack Israel, as well as probably support the rescue of Americans. But you know what they don't have? They don't have a commander or deputy commander of the Fifth Fleet because of Tommy Tuberville. I'm sure you're hearing a lot about this right now. I want to offer my own perspective on where we are and just how bad this is. Here's the latest from Morning Joe today.
Tommy Tuberville, however, of Alabama, well, he's standing firm on his months-long blockade on hundreds of military promotions, despite that deadly conflict in Israel. Tuberville's blockade has put a hold on at least 300 military nominees, including top officers who would command forces in the Middle East, including Rear Admiral George Wickoff, who is slated to lead the Fifth Fleet that includes naval forces operating in the Middle East at the moment. The current Fifth Fleet commander, Vice Admiral Brad Cooper, is supposed to be promoted to deputy commander of U.S. CENTCOM, which oversees troops and military operations in the Middle East region. But that promotion is also being held up by Tuberville. In a statement, Tuberville's office reaffirmed his stance and suggested Democrats could call each of the hundreds of nominations for individual votes. That process would take hundreds of hours, however. The Republican senator has maintained the promotions blockade to protest the Defense Department's policy that gives time off and reimbursements for service members and their family members seeking abortions out of state. It does seem like an extraordinary time for America not to have the people in place that it needs in CENTCOM and in the Fifth Fleet, just as that Fifth Fleet ally is moving closer to the region. Is there anyone there on Capitol Hill, presumably on the Senate side? I'm not sure where that leadership would come from, but who could put pressure on Senator Tuberville to say, listen, okay, we get the stance, but right now, U.S. forces are in a position where they could materially aid our key ally in the region, Israel, and we need those promotions in post.
Of course, the landscape has changed over the course of the last 2 to 3 days, Caddy, but that pressure has already been on the senator from Alabama. And it does feel like at each turn, when there is an opportunity for an exit ramp, he does not take it and continues to hold his ground here. We did see the confirmation of 3 key postings. That was something that Senator Chuck Schumer did a few weeks ago. But as you mentioned, it would take hours to go through each of these positions one by one and confirm them. The national security concerns here are not new. From the moment that Tuberville began this blockade and these promotions started piling up, experts and national security officials were clear. This is endangering U.S. national security. That has not changed Tuberville's mind. It's going to be interesting to see whether or not Israel now being a factor implicates or changes anything in the mind of the senator. But I do think it's important to note we're not going to see senators back this week. They are out of town, on recess, some of them on codels across the country, across the world. That's going to be something that keeps them far from Washington. They're still getting briefed, but in terms of us being able to press Senator Tuberville, that's not something that we're going to see. And I think there's also the open question of, now that Israel is part of the landscape, how does this impact the conversation around Ukraine aid, especially as some Republican senators have been reticent to give there, but are calling for aid to Israel now?
Yeah, we'll dive into that political complication in a little while. NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Al Vitale, thank you. Busy few days ahead for you.
Yeah, so he doesn't care about national security. His spokesman put out this little statement saying, Coach isn't going to change his mind just because people are dying. And U.S. service members are heading into a conflict zone. Coach don't care. Just don't care. But see, it's not just Coach Tuberville doing this. There are also holds on multiple diplomatic posts thanks to Rand Paul. My understanding also Ted Cruz has got holds secretly, as well as J.D. Vance have holds. The list is staggering. Here's a reporter from Al Arabiya did a tweet yesterday talk about all the jobs that are open right now. The U.S. Navy Chief of Operations, the Air Force Chief of Staff, Fifth Fleet Commander, and the Deputy Commander. Central Command, which controls that region for us, the number 2 Deputy, and the Policy Chief. Really important jobs. U.S. Air Force Central Command, which is a subordinate unit that would handle any Air Force operations in the Central Command sector, empty. The ambassador to Lebanon, ambassador to Israel, ambassador to Egypt, ambassador to Kuwait, ambassador to Oman. I also found out the assistant secretary for counterterrorism at the State Department is also on hold in the Foreign Affairs Committee. All these jobs on hold because Coach Tubby is against abortion and Rand Paul wants documents about COVID's origins. That's more important than U.S. national security to these fools and these failures. And the thing is, you guys understand as a military, this isn't just that these jobs are empty or there's going to be an acting person. There are a lot of things they can't do. But the key here that Tuberville keeps trying to lie through is he keeps saying, well, the person who got nominated can do the acting job. Here's a key point you may have heard in that. I want you to hear, you heard in that clip. The current Fifth Fleet Commander is the guy who's supposed to be CENTCOM number 2. Okay, so that means he goes there as acting, then it's an acting here. Whoever's doing the acting job there is somebody who's acting. Do you see the chain of events? And now that means you've got multiple leaders doing 2 jobs, or maybe even 3, and their subordinates doing multiple jobs because they're filling in for the jobs. And what this means is exhausted, confused, maybe handling jobs that have nothing to do. Look, if you're in U.S. Army Pacific Command, but you're supposed to be in CENTCOM, you can't focus on CENTCOM. Tuberville's full of shit. It isn't as simple as just, well, there's an acting person. And anyone who's telling you otherwise is a liar and a fraud. And don't buy it. So there's a couple key jobs, key points I want to make. And we're getting asked questions about this. And we'll go into that now. One big question is just, I saw that made me crazy is, why doesn't the military just comply? Why does the military just give in and stop allowing service members and family members to travel, pay for the travel to go to another state for be it abortions or reproductive care? Because this isn't how you do policy. Let's be very clear, folks. If the military or the DOD or the president give in on this, one single senator deciding what should be U.S. national policy, what is next? What's next? It's bigger than this. There's a system. There's 100 senators. If Tommy Tuberville, it's the next question actually, what should Tubby be doing? Tuberville should be fielding an amendment to a bill, fielding a bill. He goes around and gets co-sponsors for the bills. He builds a coalition for that bill. Then they put that bill before the committee, and that bill goes to the Senate, and it gets passed. If he wants to change U.S. national policy, that's how a senator does it. That's how a real senator does it. But Tommy Tuberville is lazy and stupid. And one power he's got because of norms and traditions is the power to put a hold for whatever reasons on a promotion. Typically that's because there was a problem with the nominee. Maybe there was an investigation that was overlooked, whatever it may be. This is a blanket hold on over 300 promotions because he doesn't like a healthcare policy. No, the military should not comply. Absolutely not. And this is where I'd say a lot. If you watch my show and you watch me often, I say, we're going to norms and traditions ourselves into fascism. Because there's a norm and tradition that senators are allowed to place a hold and no one wants to break that, this is where we are. This is where we are. And then I saw a comment that really set me off on a couple of my tweets, which was, well, at some point you had to blame the Dems for this. No, you actually don't. You don't actually have to blame the Dems for this. This is a long-standing policy in the Senate. This is a long-standing rule they're allowed to do this. Breaking it would change a lot of things. But the fact is, this is on Tommy Tuberville, Rand Paul, Ted Cruz, J.D. Vance, and most of all, Leader McConnell, who's lost control of his caucus and his John Thune, his subordinate, who are failing to control their caucus, even in light of real danger to national security, they've made the choice to allow their members to undermine national security. They're not even speaking out about it to any great extent. They're just letting it happen. No, there isn't blame for the Dems. This is on Tommy Tuberville and his cohorts. And let's be one clear too. It's the thing I've been seeing a lot. Others on the network have done videos about the lies about Biden giving the $6 billion to Iran, or saying that Biden, J.D. Vance went on a rant saying that Biden's projecting weakness. No, listen to me very carefully. The only weakness about the United States being projected to the world is because of the Republican Party, the party that led to an attempt to overthrow our government, the party that is allowing Ukraine to suffer by cutting aid to Ukraine, fighting Russia out of their back. The world sees weakness because a major political party in the United States has decided their own political goals are more important than world's peace and security and the lives of innocent civilians. They are placing their political agenda above the nation and the world. The world sees weakness in America because a major political party has decided they are against saving anyone. It's not Joe Biden. He grew NATO. He defended Ukraine. He's launched a major campaign to upgrade our defense. He pushed our NATO allies to increase their funding, which they've done. No, Joe Biden's not showing weakness. It's Trump, McConnell, these idiots in the House with McCarthy, Gates, the traitorous Marjorie Taylor Greene. That's the weakness the world sees. And now they're talking about nominating Jim Jordan, who covered up the sexual assault of his college students, his athletes. They're going to nominate him to be the Speaker of the House? Second in line to the presidency after the vice president? The weakness the world sees is the modern Republican Party, the MAGA Republican Party. So I'm going to put the number up for Tommy Tuberville's office here. Give him a call. Let's call Tommy Tuberville, okay? Put the pressure on this fool who calls himself coach instead of senator. And let's say enough is enough. American lives are in danger. Our service members' lives are in danger. And if you really do care about our service members, like everybody wants to wrap their ass in a flag, if you really care about our service members, then allowing a Christian zealot who's worried about abortion care more than the lives of our living service members, then I think you're wrong. It's time to put our foot down. I'm Fred Wellman. This is the MeidasTouch Network. Catch my show every Friday night. Let's fight back.
Hey Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.